Howdy. Thank you for joining us for another video feature of #Feathered Fridays. My name is Joseph Richards, and I am a senior Wildlife and Fisheries Sciences major and double major in entomology at Texas A&M University. So today I'm going to be talking to you all about the importance of insects in quail management. So what you probably are wondering is, or what you're thinking and asking yourselves is, why is it important to study insects and other arthropods? So, insects play a major role in the growth and reproductive cycles of quail. When a quail chick hatches, it has a 3-day supply of energy remaining in its yolk sac. And so it's very quickly, however, it must obtain a diet high in nutrients for growth and survival. They require protein in order to build up their body tissues. So for the first 2 weeks of life, chicks feed exclusively on insects. The bodies of insects contain about 40 to 50% protein. So they also contain several amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins, that are essential for growth and feather development. So insects are kind of like these little MREs, or meals ready to eat, because they're just little packages of essential proteins, amino acids, and also moisture. So before the chicks even hatch though, the quail hen requires a diet rich in insects in order to gain excess calcium for egg development. Roosters and hens have similar diets during the fall and winter months. However, the hen's diet has to shift to consume a ton more invertebrates than normal to gain those nutrients necessary for egg development. So, entomologists classify insects into the kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, the class Insecta, and the order, which is where we'll stop. But you should know your major insect orders in order to make management decisions and know what you have a lot of in a particular area. So I would like to go through some of these orders now and how we can recognize them so that you can be better prepared in the field.
So for insect identification, some of the important aspects to look at when you're identifying an insect are the mouth parts. They can tell you a lot about what that insect is eating. So if they have chewing mouth parts or piercing mouth parts or a straw-like proboscis, it could tell you what the diet of that insect is. You can also look at their legs. The legs will tell you whether it's a jumping, grasping, digging, running, or swimming insect. So an important way to determine what their function is in the ecosystem. And then you can also look at various modifications of their eyes, their wings, and their antenna. And those are all those following characteristics can tell you about where that insect lives and what it does. But all insects have a conserved body plan. They are considered or categorized as arthropods, meaning jointed foot, and they're also hexapods, which means they have 6 legs. And all insects have a 3-part body, which means that they have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. They have compound eyes, an antenna, a chitinous exoskeleton, a tracheal system, and then most insects, about 99% of all adult insects, have wings, and then they all undergo metamorphosis of some sort. Arachnids, such as this jumping spider, have a body divided into 2 parts, the cephalothorax and the abdomen, and they also have 4 pairs of legs for a total of 8. There are no antennae, and then they have no wings. So this is an order that you will all be pretty familiar with. This is the order Orthoptera, and it consists of the grasshoppers, crickets, and katydids. So they have a gradual metamorphosis. They're hemimetabolists, so they go through an egg, a nymph, and an adult stage. They have chewing mouth parts, and their key characteristics are going to be their legs are modified for jumping, obviously, but they also have long antennae, and their front wings are parchment-like. So next we have the Coleoptera, which are the beetles. They undergo a complete metamorphosis, and they have their larvae are grubs, or they're grub-like. The adults will have chewing mouth parts, and then most of them will have 4 wings, and there are a few that are wingless. But those first 4 wings are going to be really hard, and those are called elytra, and those are characteristics to beetles, but they have hind wings that are membranous, and they look like normal wings. It should be noted that the beetles are actually the most diverse group of the insect orders. The true bugs, these are going to be in the order of Hemiptera. They're going to be characteristic because they have hemimetabolous metamorphosis, and their mouth parts are going to be piercing, sucking mouth parts. Most of them are going to be feeding on like plant sap and the inside juices of plants. Most are going to have four wings folded flat over the body, a forewing thickened at the base, and a membranous tip. These are hemielytra compared to like the elytra found on beetles. And of course, their mouth parts form that beak arising from the tip of the head. So the order Hymenoptera, these are going to be your wasps, bees, and ants, or your social insects. And they go through a complete metamorphosis, the egg, larva, pupa, and the adult stages. The adults are going to have chewing and sucking mouth parts. Most of these insects are going to have four wings larger than their hind wings, which is an easy way to distinguish them when they have wings. And they always have a constricted body region between the abdomen and the thorax. And the last order I'm going to talk to you all about is the order Lepidoptera. And so these are the butterflies and the moths. They have a complete metamorphosis. We're all very familiar with the larval stage as a caterpillar. And then the moths have a cocoon for a pupa, and then the butterflies have a chrysalis. But the adults have these sucking mouth parts. It's a proboscis that they use to suck nectar out of flowers. And their wings are going to be characteristic with their overlapping scales and the hind wings being smaller than the forewings.
I hope you all found that enjoyable. Quail managers should take steps to ensure that quail chicks have an abundant source of food. So managing foods for young chicks revolves mostly around only a few insect orders. So the most important for quail are going to be the grasshoppers and crickets, order Orthoptera, beetles, which are Coleoptera, and the true bugs, which are Hemiptera. So how do we increase insect abundance for quail chicks? We use plants. So we must provide suitable habitat for insects by increasing plant diversity and succulence, which is how much water are in plants. Forbs are the preferred plants that many insect species utilize for food and cover. So rainfall plays a pretty big role in the presence of preferred forbs, which in turn impacts your insect populations. So what about insects that are harmful for quail? So some insects serve as intermediate hosts for parasites that can negatively impact quail. Slant-faced grasshoppers and cockroaches are believed to be the two major hosts of the eyeworm. These helminth parasites use insects as intermediate hosts to complete their life cycles. Additional research is needed to understand the impact, if any, that eyeworms have on the survivability of bobwhites and whether eyeworm infection leaves the birds visually impaired or not, and reduces foraging and flying efficiency. There's also fire ants. So the red imported fire ant, or Solenopsis invicta, are highly aggressive, mobile, omnivorous, and they pack a big sting. They're native to Brazil, Peru, and Argentina, and they can tolerate extreme cold, heat, drought, and floods. So there's a lot of negative impacts I could talk to you about with fire ants, but I'm going to just limit it to quail. But fire ants are known to kill bird chicks as they pip or hatch out of the shell. Hatching is a long process and can take several hours for chicks to fully emerge and dry. So during that time, if it's discovered by a fire ant scout, then that can result in the ant signaling a swarm of forager ants that will come and sting and kill the clutch. So they're voracious predators of various insects as well, and they're known to outcompete many native species. So the red important fire ant community can also reduce biodiversity. But they kill chicks, they can sting and inhibit young birds, and they can reduce the fitness in those birds. And they can also alter chick activity and reduce the arthropods, on which are a huge part of a young bobwhite's diet. Well, I hope you found this Feathered Friday very informative, and I hope you have a new appreciation for insects. So thanks for tuning in, and take care.